talk to our pal John Keim. He joins us on the BetQL guest hotline, covers the Commanders for ESPN.com. Hey, John.
What's up?
Well, we're trying to figure out what happened to the defense last year.
Good luck.
Good luck.
I mean, think about it. Last year they were top 5 in yardage, top 10 in points.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the personnel changed that much. Theoretically, should have gotten better drafting Forbes and, some of the guys getting better. I feel like Jamin Davis seems like he's better, but if you had to put your finger on it, why is this defense so bad?
I've spent most of the year trying to figure that out because just like you, the funny thing is, like if someone had told everybody, hey, Howell's going to be doing this through 10 games, what would the record be based on what we knew last year? I'd say, they're 6-4. Maybe they pull off a couple others, right? Maybe they're 7-3, something like that, because where he's getting to is pretty good. Because you thought the defense would be good, and it's funny because I know the perception by some in the fans or whatever is that the defense has always been horrible under them. They were top 10 in points and yards last year,
right?
And then the second half of 2021, they were high up there as well. So just for the second half. So like they showed that they could be a good defense, whether you thought they were elite, but this is, so to me, a lot of it, their lack of attention to detail overall is just highly frustrating for them, for to watch. I say them, but it's them are the ones who are doing it. But whether it's playing coverage a certain way, whether it's safety angles on tackle attempts, the way you're rushing, the way you're dropping on a zone blitz, the inability to adhere to details has really, really hurt them. Now, the question is, and to get to your question is, why is that? And I don't know that I have an answer. I think Benjamin St. Juste has been guilty of that. He had a tough finish yesterday. There have been other games where it's like, you got to play your coverage this way. I mean, it's not just him. Emmanuel Forbes, they needed him to be a good player for them this year, and he hasn't been.
Was it a situation last year where maybe it was a bit of a mirage? I remember last year, and I didn't go through the schedule game by game, but it seemed like they were fortunate in the schedule and some of the quarterbacks they faced last year.
Every team that ranking, no, I shouldn't say that. There are definitely years where that's the case. I felt like in 2020 that was more the case than it was last year.
Okay.
I thought they played pretty well last year, and the reason is because especially once they benched William Jackson. And remember, last year, they went to the zone match system in coverage, and that's been a problem this year. They haven't played it as well. So, so they played that well. And once William Jackson was benched, the number of big plays allowed dramatically decreased. So that was a big factor. And, of course, we've seen this year that hasn't decreased. And then you can look at, John Allen, Deron Payne, are they having the same kind of year as pass rushers? Now John Allen has 4 sacks. Payne, I think he's got, 1.5? Mm-hmm. So, and if he finishes with 4 or 5, that's about what he had been doing until last year. So I don't think it's as simple as that. Now, I think you can say, well, did that get him to the third, in yards or points, and seventh in yards or points, whatever it was? Yeah, maybe. But it doesn't take you from where they were to where they are now. That's just not – it's not that easy of an explanation. So I think they have waited, especially early on, and I know this happened a few years ago, where they waited for that defensive front to really kind of take over games, as pass rushes and all that, and that was up and down. So, and now it's, it's what it is. So – I don't know. I mean, I don't – all I know is if the defense were any good, they'd at least be 6-4. And that's what the disappointment for fans is, that you see this quarterback playing the way he is, and you're not capitalizing at this point because of how the defense is playing. And, I think linebacker, you brought Jamin. Jamin's actually done a pretty nice job. Cody Barton was getting better when he got hurt, but they weren't getting the level that you would like to see behind that front, and for whatever reason, right? And so there's a lot of reasons, and it adds up to a bad D.
John, what was your takeaway on the helmet-to-helmet hit Forbes on Lockett and the ejection?
Yeah, I'm kind of like anybody else. Like, first of all, it's an obvious penalty, and it's not, it's not a football play anymore, right? But I didn't think it warranted an ejection, but that's when we were kind of trying to look at the rules to see, and the hard part is on those bang-bang plays, it's really hard for a defensive back to alter what he's going to do. And, I could see like some of those plays early on when they changed this rule a few years ago where guys weren't used to playing that way. But guys like Emmanuel Forbes have grown up now playing that way because in college it's been that way for a number of years. But yeah, I was a little surprised at the ejection that obviously it's a penalty, but I was surprised at the ejection.
All right, so we gave our Hal eval early in the show. What did you see? I mean, the quarterback, another 3 touchdowns. He did have a fumble, but damn good game.
Yeah, no, it's a third one in a row where, you have to be extremely encouraged because of what you're seeing. It's not – he's cut the sack rate, which is a big deal for quarterbacks. He's cut that dramatically. Like, it was almost 11% sack rate, which is just it's not sustainable for a good career. That was how it was through like the first 7 games. The last 3, it's at like 4.6 because of how they're calling some different things, right? The protection's been a little bit better, but I also think that he's anticipating some of that pressure better and getting out of things before it gets really bad. And I think that was the thing early in the year. Is he couldn't get out of things. Now, I feel like the interior of the line, I mean, they're not perfect, but I think it shows you when you have a better interior, a more stout interior, that it gives him some more room to maneuver. And, and shoot, on the touchdown to Robinson, you give props to Sam Cosmi because Sam sees Jamal Adams, but Cosmi nudges him out of the way enough to create that opening that he does his thing. But then it's keeping the eyes down the field, and he does that all the time. And I also liked, the pinpoint accuracy on the throw to De'Ami Brown. I mean, there are guys right there, but he had time. He didn't. It's a key 3rd and 10, and he doesn't hurry it. He waits, sees them, and just throws a dart in there into a tight window area. So, there's so much to like, and I think the things that always jumped out to me are why I still think this kid has I always thought he was going to be able to play because there's just a lot of qualities he has that are good. He's good arm, he's accurate, but he's very smart, he's very tough, and I think he's a good leader. In that I think guys really respond to him and like to play with him. Right. So I think those are all really good signs. So no, the fumble was tough, and that one, it's funny because I was going back and during the game and watching it again, I'm like, could he have gotten down? But it seemed like before he could really get down, he gets kind of tangled up, and they just drag him for like 7 more yards. But
normally they blow the whistle, end the play.
Yeah, no, and that's unfortunate because, it's a good drive going, and it was a key point, and it gives, turned into bad things. So, but yeah, no, I thought overall another good game where again you leave there thinking, kid can play. I mean, I'm beyond thinking that he can play. To me, it's always been what level can he get to?
Right. I'm with you. And I think I've known for 6 weeks this guy can do this. Let's see. Well, how do you evaluate Bieniemy, though? Because, I like him, sure, but I didn't think that was necessarily his best game. A lot of the stuff that Sam did was like off-schedule stuff.
Correct.
We had the 5, drives there where 4 of the 5 were like 3 and out. I think one was a 5 and out, a field goal. There's a real lull there in the heart of the game. And, with the running backs were only involved in the passing game. They weren't really pounding the ball until they had one drive there, right, where they tied it up. I think it was 19-12, right. And they pounded the ball pretty good. So I didn't think that was Bieniemy's best called game by any stretch.
No, and I think the last couple of weeks, Howell has made, he's making plays.
Right.
And this is what happens in this league, right? You can have guys have play calls and okay, and the play stinks and it still works because this guy just makes a play.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens. But no, I think Seattle's run defense has been struggling, and they only ran the ball 5 times in the first half. And I understand the whole concept of the extended handoffs and all that, but this is a little bit extended handoffs on steroids. And it's funny because, and the runs aren't always effective. And I wonder if that, I was even asked Sam Cosmi about that afterwards, that you always hear about a back needing to get into a rhythm in the run game, right? Get your rhythm going, get your vision right. So you can start to see things, et cetera. And I wonder for the line if it's not the same thing in the run game, because there are a couple times in the runs that, missed block here or a guy gets inside there and suddenly the run's blown up. And so now you're going to pass for 5, 6 more times in a row because the run didn't work. But how does it look if you're giving it a little bit more of a chance? And I understand, like I said, I think I'm beyond the point of expecting them to get anywhere approaching a 50-50, but I think you could probably do a little bit more. Again, Seattle was struggling against the run coming in, and I think they're fortunate that Howell made some plays. So, I would tend to agree with you on that. And
right.
I do think there are a lot of times guys in the locker room who are when they say oh yeah, we'd like to run the ball more. Well, what they're, it's the way it's coming out is going to be a lot different than what they're going to be saying to each other. When they're talking to us, that I think they would like to do a lot more of that, and they feel like they can do it. And again, Howell is producing, and that's the key. So,
all right, John, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
All right,
Thanks,
John Keim covers the Commanders for ESPN.com. Coming up next, let's dive into Bieniemy. Should he be given the chance to lead this team next year?